Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajwa and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. So there are several fragrance families, but I do not have fragrances that cut across all of them. There are tons of them. But in this video, I've been able to narrow it to 10. And in these 10 fragrance families or categories, I've picked 2 fragrances each that I believe are the best in my collection. These are just the best in my collection, but it does not mean that is the best amongst these fragrance families elsewhere. So although there are several fragrance families or categories, I've been able to narrow them to 10 because that is where I pick these fragrances from. And so I'm just going to go with the Freshies, what I term as Freshies, Florals, Oud, Sweet, Vanillas, Leather, Woods, Musk, Fruity, and Oriental or Middle Eastern. Those are the 10 groups that I would go with. So 2 fragrances which I perceive as the best in my collection from these 10 fragrance families. So let's start this list off with the Freshies or the Freshie category. And this one, by the Freshies, I mean both aquatic, marine, or citric, and those kind of bergamot, citric Freshies. So those are the 2 I considered, and the best 2 in my collection are these, which are Creed Aventus for hair and Vibrant Vetiver Delight by Paris Corner as part of their Emer line. These are the 2 that I consider as my best Freshies in my collection. These are totally different. They don't smell like each other in any way. This is more on that lemon green vetiver with that sort of refreshing touch to it, while this one is more of that bergamot and a bit of musk, also quite citric and a bit loud, although it's a Freshie. This one is like quite potent, much more potent than the this one, but they are both very delightful. They are both very, they give you that sort of vacation vibes, very polished, nothing too complicated, nothing too much. That is what I love about these 2. They are nothing too much, and Freshies in general are not like complicated. So these are the 2 that I found the best or the most interesting in my collection. So the next category I have here are the fruity or the fruity, forward fragrances. And the 2 that I chose for this category are these 2. Sea Intense, the 2021 version, and then Watani Gold Intense by Watania. These are the 2 fruity fragrances that I strongly stand by. They are not alike in any way. Watani Gold Intense is more, of a generalized sort of fruity note. It doesn't, you're not able to find any specific fruity nuance in it, but it gives you that general fruity vibes with some honey and some cloves and some, other fruity and floral aspects, but it is more fruity forward than any other thing. Then you come to Sea Intense 2021, which is black currant, that syrupy, jammy, very sweet, very ladylike. Like these are the 2 that I consider my best 2 fruity fragrances. Like polar opposites, they smell nothing alike, but I love them both. The next fragrance family or category that I would want to speak about is the woody family. And for this category, the 2 that I have here are Ragba Wood Intense by Latafa, and this one is by Dossier. It's their woody sandalwood. That is their version of Santal 33. So these are the 2 woody, what I consider the best woody fragrances in my collection. I like this Gaiac wood, sandalwood, cedar combination in this one. It is nothing heavy, it is not like the typical woody heavy fragrance. This one has some caramel and a bit of sugar and some smoky and some something a bit spicy to it. So you get a very delicious, inoffensive, non-screechy, yet very potent woody vibes in this one. Then you come to woody sandalwood, the Dossier version of Santal 33, and this one has some cedar wood and some sandalwood. That is what it has predominantly, but a dry down is quite, as the name implies, a woody sandalwood, which is quite beautiful, or like very beautiful. It is also not scratchy, it's not like a heavy masculine sort of woody, fragrance. It's quite I mean, it's a very unisex fragrance, but it's quite light and airy at the same time. So these are the two that I find the most or the best in my woody collection. The next group I have here is the florals. Personally, I'm not such a huge fan of floral fragrances. There are few that I have tried and have fallen in love with, but I would not consider them as my top 5 fragrance families, not at all. So if I'm going for a floral fragrance, it has to be something that is probably combined with something that I love. So these two are not necessarily the most floral forward when it comes to their notes, their note structure. And these two that I'm talking about are Flora Botanica by Balenciaga and then Leila Lou by Rosie Jane. These some people will consider Freshies, which they sort of are, but I find them more floral, So for example, let's consider this Leila Lou. This is like a freshly cut grass, so it gives you that sort of fresh grass garden, vibes, like morning dew, that kind of morning dew grass sort of feel. That is what I predominantly get from it. Then it is also mixed with some pear, so you get a bit of you get a lot of the pear, but that grass, to me, it's like what I'll consider the floral aspect of this one. Very refreshing, a bit green, a bit light and airy. It doesn't give you that heavy floral note, and that is why I consider this one a very good floral fragrance for me. Then we come to Flora Botanica, which is also, a cannabis and carnation, combination. And I just love the combination of the notes in this one. It's more floral forward than anything to me. So when it comes to picking the 2 best florals, these are the one that I will pick. So these two were the most difficult for me to choose because it is coming from the fragrance family that I love the most, and this is the Oudy type. So for this one, I was able to narrow it down to these two, which are Alexandria the Second by Zerjov and Arabians by Montal. Not Arabian Tonka, but this is Arabians. And I chose these two because I love them, like there's nothing, everything about these fragrances screams me. I love them. It is one that I will just pick and go if I have to just carry something and not think about. These are the two I'll just grab and go. So Alexander the Second, woody, musky with that oud. So this is to me the smoothest, most sophisticated blend of oud that I have in my collection or I have come across till this day. So like there was no doubt, when I was thinking about this, it was like the easiest for me to pick. And then when it comes to Arabians by Montal, you get that obvious barnyardy, skunky sort of oud in it, but it is very delightful, so they are quite different. This one is a bit skunky, but this one is like a smooth, sophisticated oud, and I had to just pick these two. There are several that I could have added to this list, but I guess limited myself to 2, so these are the 2 that I'll pick. So the next category I want to speak about is what I consider or what I would term as the sweet category. I don't think there is I don't think that is the proper, family to put it, or the proper term to put it, but that for the, lack of knowledge, I'll just say the sweet family. And this one, I have these two, which are, one is a body mist, and this is Orange Vanilla Twist by Bath & Body Works, and this is Jimmy Choo Illicit. This is discontinued, but you can really find them, at the rack store and, discounted websites. Like they are readily available, although it's discontinued. And these two I will consider the best sweet fragrances in my collection, because some sweet fragrances can be overly sweet and cloying, and I do not really like those kind of sweet fragrances. However, this one has some ginger and some other like honey and other things that make it a bit more tamed or a bit more grounded. To me, this is a perfect blend of sweet. It doesn't come across as sickeningly sweet, too piercing, something that will make you nauseous, or cloying. So that is the reason why I picked this one. And then with this one, it is one of the best body mists that I have. Like it is sweet, it is not cloying, it is it is quite long lasting for a body mist. You get that sweet orange popsicle sort of gourmand vibe to it, and then you get that vanilla, a very pretty everyday happy-go-lucky scent. So the next category of fragrance family that I have is one that seems to be a lot of people's favorites. It's like highly sought after, highly raved about, and the group that I'm talking about is the vanillas. And the two that I consider the best in my collection are Cinema by YSL and Aura by Mugler. This is a green vanilla. You get that very sweet but not like sickeningly sweet vanilla in it. You get that green rhubarb and other notes in it. Like, it gives you the impression that you are in a green forest. So the vanilla in here is, to me, one of the best green vanillas I have ever come across. It is thick, it is resonant, it is like very delicious. The dry down of this one is where you get a lot of the vanilla. You get that rhubarb, that lab made notes that this one has, but the dry down of this, even as soon as you spray this one, you get the vanilla, but the dry down is where the heart is. I really love the vanilla in this one. And then I come to Cinema, which is like clementine or tangerine plus vanilla. I think it's Madagascar vanilla, I'm not too sure, but this is like pure delight to me. This is pure delight. I don't want to jump, and just conclude and say a lot of things, but this one is a very good one. It is one that I recently had about about 2 months, I think about 2 months now, but I've really grown to love this one. I loved it from day one, and it's one that I find very pretty, very ladylike, very mass appealing, one that is going to be loved by a lot. I think this one is also discontinued, but you can still find it, in those discounted websites and, in some shops. It is quite readily available that you can, grab and go. So these two are what I'll consider my best two vanillas. So the next fragrance category I have here is musk. And the two that I find the most or the best in my collection are these. Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume, and Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker. These are two, what people will consider your skin but better. They are nothing complicated. This is like a one-note fragrance. It is a woody, musky fragrance, whilst this one is a lavender musky fragrance. Very lovely, good, for those intimate, sensual, one-on-one occasions. They are nothing to fill up any room, but I find these two very, appropriate for bedtime, appropriate for intimate occasions that is not going to offend, your partner or whoever you are with. That is what I find these two most useful for. It is also good as everyday, fragrances. I super love this one most especially because it works with my skin chemistry and just makes me feel, like super pretty, light, airy, nothing complicated. So these are the two that I would choose for those category. Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker and Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume. So let's go to the leather family. And the two that I picked from my collection are Tiziana Terenzi's Asa and then Ben Shimer's Signature. This is a dupe for Tom Ford's ombre leather, so it has that woody leather sort of smoky base to it. It is a beautiful leather, nothing too strong, it's not like a skunky leather at all. It is like totally blended well. I find it very inoffensive, very unisex in nature. Whenever I wear something black, and all black sort of attire, it sort of screams this one. And I've been loving this one and have put like quite a decent dent in it. So this is Ben Shimer's Signature, a very unisex one. This is like a must-have in my collection. Whenever I wear this one, it lasts me like days upon days. I spray it in a dress and I put it aside. Days and even weeks later, I can still smell this one. It is like an entry level sort of leather. It is not like a heavy leather, but you get that leather with that woodsy, mossy, a very unisex, lovely room filling fragrance that I would really wish to forever have in my collection. So these are my two best leather fragrances in my collection. So the last two fragrances I have here are what I would consider as part of the Oriental style, Middle Eastern, style perfume, which are mostly spicy, quite loud, and can be a bit obnoxious to some people, but these ones are what I also consider, they usually have the ouds and the woods and some, the spices. They're quite loud, and can be a little too much for quite a number of people. And the two fragrances I have here are Oud for Glory by Latafa and then Reseller by Arabian Oud. They are the quintessential typical Middle Eastern type fragrance. They come off as quite loud, quite room filling. It's like smell me before you see me sort of fragrances, although this one is like not like super smell me before you see me, but once you overspray it, you get to that territory. But this one, you don't even need to overspray, but I do overspray anyway. So these are the two that I'll consider my two best Oriental, spicy, loud, Middle Eastern type fragrances. So these 20 fragrances are by no means what I'll consider my top 20 fragrances, not at all. I love them. They are the best in these 10 categories, but they are not my top 20 fragrances. I believe if I should ever do my top 20 fragrances, I'll find some of these in them, but I'm pretty sure some of them will also not make my top 20, but they are the best two in these 10 categories that I could pick in my collection. I would really love to know which ones, also are your best one or two in these 10 categories that I have mentioned so far. So that is all I have for you today, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.